pain, struggle, suffering. Most people run from these things. They look for comfort, for an easy way out. But let me tell you something. If you want to grow, if you want to be strong, if you want to be something more than average, you have to suffer. The world will tell you suffering is bad, that pain should be avoided. That's a lie. Suffering is the price you pay for strength. It's the test that separates the weak from the unbreakable. You don't get better sitting in comfort. You don't grow when everything is easy. Growth happens in the dark, in the struggle, when you're alone, broken, and everything in you is screaming to quit, but you don't. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding suffering, thinking that comfort is the key to happiness. But the truth is, real growth only happens when you put yourself through struggle, when you willingly step into discomfort and endure pain. Every person who has ever achieved anything worthwhile has gone through suffering. It's the process that separates the strong from the weak. When you lift weights, your muscles tear. That pain, that discomfort is necessary for them to grow back stronger. If you never push your body to the point of strain, it remains weak. The same rule applies to your mind and your character. Without struggle, without pushing beyond what feels easy, you stay stagnant. Growth is not something that happens in comfort. It happens when you are challenged, when you are forced to endure what most people avoid. Look at anyone who has mastered their craft, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, a soldier, or a leader. They didn't get there by choosing the easy path. They got there because they suffered. They trained when they were tired. They worked when others slept. They pushed their bodies and minds beyond the limits of normal people. They made sacrifices, endured failures, and kept going even when everything in them screamed to stop. Most people think suffering is a sign that something is wrong, that pain means they should turn back. But pain is the gateway to transformation. The struggle you go through is exactly what shapes you. Without resistance, without hardship, there is no progress. The mind, just like the body, adapts to pressure. The more you expose yourself to difficulty, the stronger you become. People who avoid suffering never reach their full potential. They stay in their comfort zones, repeating the same cycles, never truly improving. They make excuses, saying they're not lucky enough, not talented enough, not strong enough. But the truth is, they're just not willing to endure the process required for greatness. They don't want to suffer, so they remain average. The world doesn't hand out success to those who want it. It gives it to those who are willing to suffer for it. If you're not willing to push through the pain, to embrace the struggle, then you'll never grow beyond where you are now. Pain is not just an obstacle, it is a test. Every time you face suffering, you are being tested physically, mentally, and emotionally. The question is always the same: will you break or will you push through? Most people crumble under the weight of pain because they've never trained themselves to endure it. They see pain as something to escape from, not something to overcome. But those who succeed in life, those who rise above the rest, are the ones who face pain head on and refuse to let it defeat them. Think about the hardest moments of your life. The moments that hurt the most. The moments that made you question everything. You either gave up or you fought through. And if you fought through, you came out stronger. That's the purpose of pain. It's a proving ground. It forces you to see what you're made of. It exposes weakness. But it also gives you the opportunity to build strength. When you're in pain, your mind will try to convince you to stop. It will give you every excuse, every reason to quit. It will tell you that you're not strong enough, that it's not worth it. This is the test. This is the moment where you decide who you are. Are you someone who listens to weakness, or are you someone who fights through? Because the reality is, if you quit once, you'll quit again. Every time you give in to pain, you reinforce the habit of breaking under pressure. But if you fight through, you reinforce the habit of endurance. The strongest people in the world, mentally, physically, emotionally, are the ones who have suffered the most. They've been through hell, but they refuse to let it break them. They embraced the pain, they endured the suffering, and they came out on the other side unshaken. That's what separates them from the weak. That's what pain does. It asks you, how bad do you want it? And your response determines everything. Pain is not there to stop you. It's there to see if you're worthy. It's a filter that removes the weak and reveals the strong. It's the process that separates those who dream from those who do. The ones who push through suffering, who refuse to quit, are the ones who rise to the top. Every person who has ever achieved something great has gone through immense hardship. It's easy to look at successful people and assume they had some kind of advantage, but if you dig deeper, you'll see the suffering they endured to get there. Struggle is the process that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary individuals. It's not a punishment, it's the price of progress. Think about the times in your life when you truly changed. It wasn't when things were easy. It wasn't when you were comfortable. It was when you were pushed to your limits, when you faced failure, when you felt like you had nothing left to give. Those were the moments that forced you to grow. Pain demands change. It forces you to adapt, to become stronger, to develop skills you never thought you needed. Without struggle, there is no reason to improve. The most successful people weren't born with more talent or luck. They were simply willing to go through more pain than others. They were willing to wake up earlier, work harder, fail more time, and keep going when everyone else quit. They didn't just experience suffering, they embraced it, knowing that each hardship was shaping them into something greater. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. The ones who refuse to suffer never break through to the next level. Struggle builds resilience. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you patience. It forces you to develop mental toughness, because when you go through enough suffering, you stop fearing it. You start to understand that pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. You learn that every challenge is an opportunity to level up, to become something more than you were before. People who avoid suffering never grow. They live their lives at the same level, repeating the same mistakes, stuck in the same patterns. They never push themselves hard enough to see what they're truly capable of. They take the easy way out, and as a result, they stay exactly where they are. The only way to change, to evolve, to become the best version of yourself is to go through the fire. Struggle isn't a setback, it's the foundation of success. Every person who has mastered their craft, who has built something incredible, has done so by enduring pain and refusing to stop. The process of transformation is brutal, but it's the only way to become unstoppable. Suffering is not something you can avoid. No matter what path you choose in life, struggle will find you. The difference is whether you suffer with purpose or whether you suffer by default. Most people don't realize they're already suffering, they're just doing it in a way that doesn't lead to growth. They suffer in jobs they hate, in relationships that drain them, in bodies they neglect, in minds they refuse to strengthen. This is the suffering of regret, the suffering of stagnation, the suffering of being trapped in a life they don't want. But there's another type of suffering, the suffering that builds you. This is the suffering you choose, the suffering of discipline, the suffering of pushing yourself beyond your limits, the suffering of doing the hard work when no one is watching. This suffering hurts just as much, but it leads somewhere. It transforms you. It forces you to become stronger, sharper, more resilient. It's the suffering that gives you control over your life, instead of leaving you at the mercy of circumstances. Weak people suffer without growth. They go through life avoiding challenges, only to end up suffering in ways they never expected. They suffer from insecurity because they never develop confidence. They suffer from failure because they never put in the work. They suffer from regret because they never took risks. They think they're avoiding pain by staying in their comfort zones, but in reality, they are just choosing a different kind of pain, the kind that leads nowhere. Strong people suffer with intention. They choose their pain. They willingly wake up early, train harder, study longer, work smarter. They endure rejection, criticism, setbacks, and failures, not because they enjoy them, but because they know that's the price of success. They understand that pain is unavoidable, so they make sure it serves a purpose. They suffer now so they don't have to suffer later. There is no escaping suffering, but you can decide how you experience it. You can either suffer as a victim, stuck in the same problems year after year, or you can suffer as a warrior, pushing yourself through the fire, knowing that every ounce of pain is making you stronger. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. One leads to power, the other to emptiness. The choice is always yours. Your mind is your greatest weapon, but it can also be your greatest enemy. The moment you step into discomfort, the moment pain sets in, your mind starts looking for a way out. It will whisper excuses, telling you that you're too tired, too weak, that you've done enough. It will remind you of every reason why you should stop, why you should turn back. This is where most people lose. They don't break because of physical pain. They break because their mind convinces them to quit before they've reached their true limit. The human body is capable of far more than we realize. The only reason most people never tap into that potential is because their mind gives up long before their body actually needs to. When you feel exhausted, you're usually nowhere near your real limit. It's just your brain trying to protect you from discomfort. But discomfort is exactly where growth happens. If you listen to the voice telling you to stop, you will never push past your current level. You will stay where you are comfortable but weak. Every time you override that voice, every push past the point where you wanted to quit, you get stronger. Not just physically, but mentally. You train yourself to stop listening to weakness. You develop the ability to endure, to push through pain, to keep moving when everything in you wants to stop. And the more you do this, the more powerful you become. Your threshold for suffering expands. The things that once seemed impossible become routine. You start to realize that the limits you thought you had were never real to begin with. Most people live their entire lives controlled by the voice of doubt and weakness in their head. They quit when things get hard, and then they convince themselves it was the right decision. They stay in their comfort zones and wonder why they never improve. But those who achieve greatness are the ones who learn to silence that voice. They know that quitting is always an option, but they refuse to take it. They understand that every battle is won or lost in the mind before it ever plays out in reality. The difference between the weak and the strong is simple. The weak listen to their excuses. The strong push through them. The weak stop when they feel pain. The strong recognize that pain is just a barrier between them and their next level. The ones who push past their breaking point are the ones who discover just how powerful they really are. Most people fear suffering. They avoid pain at all costs, thinking it's something to run from. But the truth is, suffering is the only thing that can make you unbreakable. The people who rise above, who dominate, who achieve what others only dream of, are the ones who have embraced suffering instead of running from it. They understand that every hardship, every painful moment, every struggle is a tool that's shaping them into something stronger, something sharper, something unstoppable. Pain is a test, but it's also a teacher. Every time you suffer and keep moving forward, you learn something about yourself. You learn that you're stronger than you thought. You learn that pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. You learn that no matter how much it hurts in the moment, every ounce of suffering you endure is making you better. Weak people crumble under pressure because they've never trained themselves to handle it. Strong people, unbreakable people, don't just handle pressure, they seek it out. They know that the more they suffer now, the harder they become in the future. Every person who has reached greatness has suffered more than the average person. The difference is they didn't complain. They didn't back down. They didn't let pain stop them. They understood that suffering is the entry fee to becoming unstoppable. The more you suffer, the more callous your mind becomes. The more you push through pain, the more your body and spirit adapt. What once felt impossible becomes normal. What once broke you becomes something you barely notice. The only way to reach that level of toughness is to go through the fire again and again without breaking. Most people want to be strong, but they don't want to go through what it takes to get there. They want confidence without failure, strength without struggle, success without sacrifice. But it doesn't work that way. You don't become unbreakable by avoiding suffering. You become unbreakable by embracing it, by using it, by letting it transform you into something that nothing can stop. The moment you stop fearing pain and start welcoming it, you separate yourself from the weak. You step into a mindset that few people ever reach. You stop looking for the easy way out because you know the hard way is the only way that leads to real power.